Here we have verse 7 of the 20th chapter, Gospel of Matthew. We're in the midst of the parable Jesus tells concerning the workers in the vineyard. The workers have been sent out by the landowner, some early in the morning, others later in the day. And as to the later ones, the landowner simply promises to pay them what is fair. And we come now to the last of these who will be sent out. He finds them there toward the end of the day, probably around 5:30 p.m., pretty much reaching the end of the time for which workers would be sent out. And so the landowner addresses them, legusin, and they respond. This is third person plural, present active indicative. They say, auto, to the landowner. This is the indirect object, dative masculine singular. They say to him, in response to his question, why? Hoti, conjunction means because oudes. This is an adjective, means no one or nothing, depending on the gender. This is the masculine singular nominative, because no one. Hemas, us, direct object of the verb that comes afterwards, no one, us. A misthosato, this is from misthoo. Misthos is the word for a wage. Misthoo means to hire for purposes of paying a wage. And this is the aorist, it's the third person singular, aorist middle indicative. No one has hired us. No one has sent us into his field. The middle implying here hired for himself. No one has hired us into his employ. So that's the response they give, and the landowner responds to them then lege, third person singular, present active indicative. He says, autois, to them, indirect object, dative plural, masculine. He says to them, hupageta, same as the preceding verse used. This is from hupago, to go away or to go out. Second person plural, present active indicative, really in the imperative here, spelled the same way. So go, kai humes, also you. So you also go, ace, preposition with the accusative tone, ampelona, into the vineyard of me. So we have workers in the field who've gone out in all various times of the day, working what they probably expect is going to be a pro rata wage based on the number of hours they spent out in the field. And of course, this is going to give rise to the rather surprising conclusion that Jesus will reach to illustrate many of the last will be first and the first last.